So thank you for coming to our educational series, the Up Your Game series. This is the final night, so I think we have to drink as much as we possibly can and get this done. So tonight we have the pleasure of having the company of Verizon. As I told a couple of you, we're not here tonight as a sales organization. We have Bhavesh, who is a cybersecurity expert. So lots of questions throughout the evening. If you have anything you want to talk to him about, feel free. Bhavesh, take it away.
Okay, all right. Well, good evening, everyone. So let me tell you a little bit about. I thought I'll just share with you. How many of you heard of Equifax name, right? Right? Yeah, it's fresh of our minds, right? So there are so many things like that happening. Yeah. So what I decided is that in 10 minutes or so, I'll share with you our research, our analysis of hundreds of forensics investigations we've done for the last few years. Okay, real breaches which have occurred. What is there anything we can learn from it? What's the lowest common denominator, right? And hopefully that gives you something more as a result of listening to me and assist you with, based on your role, responsibility, focus, whatever it might be. Yeah. So I'm going to focus on cyber detection and response. Okay. But before I start, our partnership, with ARG, Platinum partner includes a number of services, right? And you can talk to the team after I've done, and hopefully they'll be able to answer any questions. But as you can see, the breadth and the capability of assisting customers to achieve a specific business outcome using various capabilities from a security perspective, from networking perspective, from internet perspective, and so on. Yeah. And I'll just give you one data point. Up to 72% of the world's internet traffic touches Verizon backbone. Up to 72% at any given time, it varies, right? As a result, we have a huge visibility. So when we are analyzing security incidents and breaches on behalf of our customers, when they ask us to do so, we have greater access to things like net flow and so on, which gives us a greater insight and helps us to get to the perpetrators of crimes and recommend the remediation. So that's what the partnership is all about. So if I ask all our customers on a global business, Verizon does $130 billion, security business in the cloud about $2 billion. And if I ask all the customers, where do you see the most challenges? These are kind of summary of challenges, right? The threat is very dynamic, right? How many of you, responsible for governance, risk, compliance, or security on a day-to-day basis? Okay, right? Okay. So the threat is very dynamic, continuously changing, very resource depending on where this is coming from, right? But if I look across all of that, right? If I just take shortage of skills, right? 1 million unfilled vacancies for cybersecurity globally. I'm on the board of ISACA. Huge challenge for us. And once you find people, how do you retain? Disruptive business models. How many of us thought there would be something like Uber and Lyft 5 years ago? And look at the disruption it's created, right? Look at the mobile phone devices, right? You heard of Internet of Things, right? Yeah. Verizon added about 20 million IoT connections in our network in the last 2 years. So it's not a hype anymore. So as security professionals or as executives within your organization, the challenge increases. Why? Because the attack surface increases. Yeah. So number of challenges out there. Cloud technologies. If you speak to any organization, I think you'll get a response. 50% in-house, 50% in the cloud varies, right? But everybody is on the strategy. And what does that mean? In terms of business impact and so on. So here's the thing. So Verizon has been doing a data breach investigations reports. We work with the likes of US Secret Service, technology companies like Cisco, Palo Alto, Fortinet, Qualys, Checkpoint, you name it, all of them. They provide us the security incidents on a 12 calendar year basis. We analyze it and we produce the findings and we share it through a report called Data Breach Investigations Report. It's a real actionable data, no surveys. Yeah. So in simplistic terms, who did what to whom and what was the outcome? And then we share the findings. So this is the summary of last 10 years of research. We publish this report every year, right? So horizontal x-axis, the calendar years, the vertical percentages of breach time frame. So just walk with me here. So this is the time to discover, i.e. organizations, the good guys. How long does it take to detect that some form of unwanted activity has been occurring across the enterprise? Now, ask yourself the question. Organizations have support from the executives. They've been investing in people, technology, procedures, you name it, right? Security is not a new problem. It's been a known problem. We've been at it. What's happening across the industry? The time to detect is increasing. So we are able to identify that some form of attack is unwanted activity which might lead to a breach is occurring across the enterprise. But here's the other side. Time to compromise. This is for the bad guys. The time it takes for them to carry out a compromise has reduced down from weeks, days, down to hours, minutes, and seconds. So that is a huge detection gap. So you ask yourself the question, you probably have the world best technology, you have the world best playbook, you have the world best talent, still the breaches continue to occur. Yeah, and that's the world, that's the reality we live in. So our analysis suggests there's a huge detection gap. There has to be something unique, secret sauce we need. Whether you call it threat and intelligence, or whether you call it robust architecture, or a continuous monitor, whatever you call it, but something which helps us to address this industry challenge. That's the industry challenge. Whether you hear of Equifax target or any breaches, in a year we investigate over 500, cases across 109 countries of the globe, wherever the U.S. government allows us to do so. So that's the data we're looking at. When things go wrong, who is detecting it? As you can see, the green line is the law enforcement. In a lot of cases we find it's someone like a three-letter agency knocking on the doors of our clients and say, you have a problem, we have the evidence. If you look at the internal, the red line, i.e. the technology and the capability you have, the solutions and the services, is just staying flat, it's not picking up. And I'll give you an example reading. Last year we had almost 100,000 incidents. There were 2,200 confirmed breaches. Out of 2,200 breaches, 900 plus were as a result of phishing. Everybody knows phishing, right? Yeah. Out of those 900, phishing-related breaches, 825, the bad guys had the real credentials, right? As a result, your technology, your perimeter defense is unable to detect it. That's the challenge for us. So you can read this in a number of ways. We'll send you a copy of this research report, and it's available online. It's all, we do this for free, is our commitment to the industry for the last 10 years. And it will help you to define the threat landscape. So when you are speaking to your executives or developing a program or a business case, you often get asked a question, prove it to me that we have a problem. Where is the problem? Help me define the problem, right? And this will help enable you to do so based on the incidents and breaches which have occurred over the last 10 years. Because every incident is mapped to verticals. So if you're in healthcare, if you're a law firm, if you're in any other vertical, or you're providing service to somebody, right? We map it to the North American industry classification system. So federal government issues a code for every GDP generating enterprise. Every incident is mapped to it. So if you're in finance, it starts with 52. If you're in manufacturing, it starts with 31, 32, 33, depending on the type of organization you are. So it helps you to define the threat landscape. So it helps you to prioritize, gives you actionable data, so you can focus on, the known bad problem, or what's made the bad threat actor successful in the last 3 years. This is just giving you a shift we see in the industry, right? Moving from IT risk to enterprise risk, right? Very often if you go back 5 years ago and if you ask your executives, do you have a risk register? They'll say, yes, we do. How many information security related risks existed in that master risk register? One maybe, or, questionable. But now you will see cybersecurity. If you ask the question, do you have a cybersecurity insurance policy? The likelihood is much greater. Why? Because the enterprise and the executive has come around to saying, this is a real challenge, we ought to address it for our continuous existence, right? So this is giving you a shift perspective. And by the way, we'll send you this material if you're interested. Giving you a trend. So one of the analyst firms, right, Forrester, asked a number of questions across the globe, customers saying, which are the top security challenges, right? Unavailability of security employees. When you look across this, the top one is nature of IT threats, intelligence. It's just continuously changing, right? Yeah. Inability to measure the effectiveness of our security program. How do you measure effectiveness? So you have phishing, you do education awareness, you probably have something. How do you measure effectiveness? Because we've done a number of researches, and if I look at 3 years ago, by the time the bad guys have sent out 3 emails, they've captured 50% of their audience. So these are the priorities or the challenges the customers have seen. And these are medium to large enterprises across the globe, right? Hold that thought, and I'm going to give you another perspective. How does that translate into spending priorities? So when you're focusing on, so if you're in finance, 95% of the incidents and breaches are associated with web applications. So if you're focusing on something like physical security or so on, I think you might be on a slightly different journey than you should be. Okay? So these are, as you can see, one way of looking at it is everything is a priority, that means nothing is. Another way of looking at it. However, when you look across all these things, you're probably doing a lot of it. And you will see this advanced threat intelligence capability. You need some intelligence. That how many of you are aware of cyber warfare, Lockheed Martin kill chain, or reconnaissance to exfiltration, right? If we can identify that something unwanted is occurring at the early stages, right, then you can take an action. And this is where the advanced threat intelligence comes in. So as a result of what Verizon does and its unique position, so on, as a result of the presidential executive order, we were unable to share the threat and intelligence with customers. Now we are. In the last 90 days, things changed, and we can certainly see a lot of changes in this space, even in the industry. A lot of threat intel providers, right? How do you bring it all together and get to that need? How do you find the needle in the haystack? That's what you're looking for. Now, traditional security efforts, you're focusing on governance, risk, and compliance. You're doing 24/7 monitoring. You have a NOC, you have a SOC, all those things, right? You're moving on to the asset. I speak to CISOs across US and Canada. That's my territory. I asked the customers in the audience, how many of you feel that your CMDB, where you have the hardware, software, everything is registered, is 100% accurate? I've never come across anybody who has the 100% confidence across the industry. Pretty much, and a very open one. And that's a challenge, and it's very much focused on asset focus. What are my crown assets, the critical assets, important, what matters the most, let's focus on those, right? And as you go up, it goes into threat intelligence and so on. Because ultimately, you probably have all the technology, you have the procedures, you have everything, but you're going to need something like threat intelligence, which is going to help you to find that needle in the haystack. That's where we see the focus of the industry. Yeah. These are giving you another industry perspective of where the industry is going. So this is a Gartner. If you go back, if I go back about 10, we've been doing this for 19 years, security monitoring and now moving into analytics and machine learning and so on. Typical customer will just focus on perimeter defense. Protect my perimeter, I'm fine. Not the case anymore. Context and intel sharing. Now, what we learned from our research and analysis that if you have capturing logs from, let's say, your firewalls or your application servers and so on, unless you have a complete visibility, it only helps you to define the partial problem. So that's where the focus is. So there are a lot of SIEM technologies out there. I don't know if you know the name Splunk, RSA, HPR. There's so many out there, right? And the ingestion, any device must ingest it so that we can do the correlation against threat and intelligence and alert it. And now, analytics and going into machine learning. That's where the industry is going. So leverage everything what you have, find the threat intelligence, define the threat landscape so that you can manage the risk better. So ultimate goal is, how do we improve the detection intensity across the enterprise by defining the threat landscape and doing things.